cook. King Henry.
Non-authentic Mie Goreng made with lobster. You'll need the following ingredients. First step, play a song. With your tablespoon and teaspoons, measure out 2 tablespoons of ketchup mayonnaise, 2 teaspoons of dark soy sauce and 2 teaspoons of light soy sauce, following with 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. Now that we're done making the Mie Goreng sauce, you can see that it's very untraditional. We don't even have sambal or anything like that. We're up to the exciting part of the recipe where we will deshell the lobster. This is where I found out that I'm actually allergic to raw lobsters because my hands were freaking itchy. Once you've got the lobster shell removed, we'll be making the lobster oil. What you want to do is grab a wok, chuck in the lobster shell and turn the heat up. While the lobster tail is heating up, you want to cut the spring onions. With the spring onions, the more stalky end I will cut thicker and the more leafy ends I cut thin. Once you're done with the spring onions, we'll move back to the lobster tail. As you can see, I'm trying to flip the lobster tails to get an even cook on all sides.
Oh, you mother freak! I must flip this lobster. Yes.
The king ain't scared of no oil. Run your hands under cold water because you've burnt them.
The length a king goes through for his people.
When your shells turn completely orange, the lobster oil is ready. Make sure you keep these shells as we'll be using them for plating later on. As you can see, I'm struggling with these lobster tails. The medic has advised I've got 400-degree burns. Back to the spring onion, I'm just going to keep them in 2 separate containers. You'll see why later. We're going to start cooking the lobster, so what you want to do is fill up a pot with water, add some salt. I'll be chucking the lobster tail back in before it reaches boiling point. I'm scarred by the oil. I'm also using a thermometer to make sure it's not overcooked. Thermometer attempt 2. Whilst the lobster is heating up, what you want to do is prepare an ice bath on the side. This will make sure that the lobster isn't overcooked. Strain out the precious lobster water. Immerse that lobster in the ice bath. What do you know? I've overcooked it. Fill up another pot with water and bring it to a boil. Then you want to add your egg noodles in and give it a stir so you can get it cooking. Whilst the noodles are submerged, what I'll be doing is cutting the lobster on the side. Try to cut it in evenly sized pieces. Jumping back to the egg noodles, it looks like it's cooked well. I'll be straining the water out. Alrighty, this is where everything comes together. Heat up the lobster oil and chuck in the noodles. You want to make sure the wok is hot enough, and you can tell by the sound it makes. Pour your sauce concoction, make sure that you taste as you pour. Pour as much to your own liking. I learnt this from Kenji Lopez. What you want to do is get a blowtorch and blowtorch your noodles so you can get that wok hay. Chuck in your lobster and spring onion and give it a mix. Once your noodles are done, we're ready for plating. What I typically do is grab the 2 sides of the lobster shells and place them opposite of one another. Get the noodles and pour them in carefully into the center. I said carefully. I meant it.
Shit.
Lucky with movie magic and Photoshop, I've plated both dishes correctly. Put on some spring onion to garnish. And then add some fried shallots. Voila! Let's just admire this king standard of cooking. Lobster infused oil. Noodles infused with lobster oil. Torched lobster. Fried shallots to provide a contrasted texture and pour flavor. Beautiful non-traditional Mie Goreng sauce. Spring onion to make sure the dish is green, so therefore it's healthy. Delissimo! Let's try out some noodles. Wreck the plating in less than 1 second. Mie Goreng lobster fit for a king. Tastes like